Dr. James J.C. Cooley. That's right.
The James Cooley Show, It's Your Life, can be heard every Sunday at 6 p.m. right here on 660 AM The Answer in Dallas-Fort Worth. Life is full of circles, cycles, phases, and stages. It's your choice to ignore them or embrace them. Motivational speaker, author, military veteran, and founder of the J.C. Cooley Foundation, James Cooley, and his guests will inspire and equip you to strive for your own greatness and overcome adversities. Listen to The James Cooley Show, It's Your Life, every Sunday at 6 p.m. right here on 660 AM The Answer in Dallas-Fort Worth.
The James Cooley Show, It's Your Life, can be heard every Sunday at 6 p.m. right here on
The James Cooley Show, It's Your Life, can be heard every Sunday at 9 p.m. right here on The Answer San Diego. Life is full of circles, cycles, phases, and stages. It's your choice to ignore or embrace them. Motivational speaker, author, military veteran, and founder of the J.C. Cooley Foundation, James Cooley, and his guest will inspire and equip you to strive for your own greatness and overcome adversities. Listen to The James Cooley Show, It's Your Life, every Sunday at 9 p.m. right here on The Answer San Diego.
Hello, welcome to the James Cooley Show, It's Your Life. I'm your host, Dr. James J.C. Cooley, and wow, we got another absolutely spectacular show coming your way. I mean, I love the title of the show and this guest that we got on. Michelle, I'm about to get us some away because it's living your best life. A lot of people don't know what that means because they don't allow them to live their best life. Well, this young man who's going to be on the show today is going to talk to us about how he is living his best life, him and his family, and his job, and all the things that go with that. So I am so excited to have him on. How you doing, Dr. Michelle Cooley? How you doing today?
I'm doing great, James. And yes, we're excited to have this guest on the show. He's the first time he's been on the show. So we're definitely interested in hearing about what he's going to talk about regarding living your best life.
I believe in living your best life. That encompasses everything that makes you happy. And sometimes things that make you unhappy in a certain extent, but we can't stay in the unhappiness zone too long. So, Michelle, can you please introduce the title of the show, the purpose of the show, and introduce this absolutely magnificent guest?
Well, yes, the title of today's show is Living Your Best Life. And we have a sit down conversation with entrepreneur and businessman Rob Garcia. He's going to discuss faith, family, health and wellness, and business. Well, Rob was born and raised in Longview, Texas, and moved to Dallas, Fort Worth in 2012. He graduated with a degree in political science from the University of Texas in Arlington. He has had an 8-year corporate career in cybersecurity sales and has an entrepreneurial career in direct sales e-commerce for 9 years. He's been married for 10 years and has 2 daughters, ages 6 and 8. He's going to tell a little bit more about himself when we introduce him, which is now. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the show, Mr. Rob Garcia.
How you doing, Rob? How you doing, my friend?
Hey, doing fantastic today. How are both of you?
Man, everything is just wonderful, man. It's just wonderful. We are happy to be back in Texas. We took a vacation, a much-needed vacation. Just got back a few days ago. But so excited, man, to have you on the show because I chat with you all the time at the gym, and I know you got a lot of things. I can just, you're always happy, you always smiling, and just that energy just glow. So Rob, can you tell our viewers and listeners a little bit more about you? I know you grew up in Longview, Texas. So can you tell a little bit more about you? What makes you click, and why you're so passionate about what you do?
Yeah, I appreciate that. And just a couple things to say right out of the gate is, JC, when we first met, we had just a couple brief conversations, and I think it was pretty immediate that we knew, man, we connect on so much. There's so much more for us to talk about, things that we think are important. And so I appreciate you noticing that, at least out of some of the things that I've said, with you. And that's why I appreciate this platform that you have, this idea to talk about what matters, how people can live better lives, how they can thrive better. And so just over the years, myself, my wife, we've kind of just come to a point where, man, there's so many things out there that can, take our mind and distract us. But at the end of the day, are we investing in ourselves? Are we becoming our best selves? Because our belief is that if we're not becoming our best selves, how can we then help others become their best selves, right? So over the years, this is just a topic that I've become very passionate about in the different industries that I've been in, raising a family, being married. But yeah, just kind of a brief background on me. So, I'm a Texas boy through and through. Grew up in East Texas, and for anyone familiar with East Texas, I've since lost my very thick East Texas accent. Being in Dallas for so long, it's more of a neutral accent these days, but it'll slip out occasionally. So if you hear a little country twang come out, just kind of give me some grace on that. But I was born and raised in small town East Texas, and part of my upbringing and background has really shaped who I am today. And part of those components and topics you'd mentioned earlier that we'll be discussing today, a lot of that came from my upbringing, my experiences. Just a couple things just to mention. I was basically raised by my mom. The very beginning. My biological dad, was with us for a very short amount of time, and unfortunately, he left the family, and it left my mom figuring things out as a single mom. And I remember just being young and watching her work so hard to take care of me. I didn't understand everything, but my work ethic and drive and passion, it really starts really at my childhood, growing up, watching my mom just be resilient. She's a hairstylist. She's cut hair. She's been self-employed for over 20 years. And I just saw her day in and day out, cut hair, put food on the table. And I kind of that's really where I started to learn, hey, you have to work for things. If you want anything in life, it's going to take work. It's going to take persistence. And, so that's kind of my foundation, JC, is watching hard work growing up. And, because, I didn't really have that good father figure early on, it really left my mom to figure things out. She put me in church at a very early age, which was huge for me. Put me in sports. And so those are just some foundational things that kind of made me who I am today. And yeah, that's just a little bit, my upbringing and kind of where I came from.
Just observing you and chatting with you and talking with you over the last few months, I can tell resilience is there. And I knew it was a foundation that had to have gotten you focused. And I think that was your mom. So with that being said, if Rob Garcia had to come up with one adjective to describe who he is and why. So what's that one adjective that describes you best and why?
I'd probably just say perseverance. That's a word that sort of encapsulates my mentality. I just have a drive to be excellent every day. And there's no, in my mind, it's an infinite game. There's a great book that I've read called Infinite Game by Simon Sinek. And, he talks about that the most successful people, corporations, entrepreneurs, they live life, not to just hit a certain destination or finish line. Some may call this destination disease. It's like you're so focused on hitting one thing. Well, then when you hit that goal, then what? What's going to drive you and motivate you past that? So for me, perseverance, because although I have maybe some goals along the way, there is no stopping, because in my mind, I know we haven't jumped into the spiritual side too much yet, but I just feel that this life is for us to persevere, to be resilient, like you said. And there's no end in that. There's no end in investing in yourself, becoming more knowledgeable, multiplying your talents. There's no end to that in my mind. Helping other people, there's no finish line to that, right? So that's just kind of what I think of, JC, when you mention, one word, and that would probably be a word that I would say is, kind of my motto or mantra.
Well, you mentioned something about knowledge and learning. Every time I see you, you got a book in your hand reading it. I think that's
true.
I think that's so wonderful, because that's how we learn. We learn from that way, but we also learn from our surroundings and people that, we look up to, or people that we don't look up. We learn from all those different forms. So I think that's so important. We got to take a station break.
Sure.
If you want to be part of this great conversation, regardless of which platform you're watching us on, whether you're watching us on E36 TV, Transfer TV, YouTube, LinkedIn, Rumble, Facebook, Twitter, over 68 live platforms, welcome to the show. Just go to the comments, ask any questions that you might have. And I promise you, we'll get you an answer. It's your life, and we'll see you shortly after the break.
The James Cooley Show. It's your life. That's right.
Really get a chance to know who you are. And once you know who you are, you truly know who you are, love who you are. Love who you are. You're a masterpiece. Love who you are. Love who you were born to be. Love me some me. That's what I'm talking about. When you leave high school, you gotta know today or tomorrow, or hopefully today, what your plans are. Hopefully, there is no bad decision unless there is no plan. Create, collaborate, commit with confidence. Commit with what? Commit with what? In everything that you do.
In this life you are gonna grow, but there's things in this world that you gotta know. To be the best that you can be, you wanna grow real big into a strong tree. To be who you're created to be, the one who's gonna leave a legacy is you. But you got to have these 4 C's. Create, collaborate, then you commit with confidence. Create, collaborate, then you commit with confidence. It's the 4 C's. Gotta have it. Oh, yeah. It's the 4 C's.
The James Cooley Show. It's your life. Dr. James JC Cooley. Hey.
Hello, welcome back to the James Cooley Show. It's your life, and I got my absolutely fantastic guest here, Rob Garcia. Just sharing a little bit about him in the first segment. We started segment number 2, and man, we're getting ready to get off into the meat of all of this stuff, and we're gonna learn a little bit about living your best life. And I tell you, if you want to be part of this, conversation, all you have to do is just go to the platform that you're watching us on, and ask any question that you might, or you listening to us on the radio. Hey, join in as well. Michelle, I'm gonna turn it over to you.
Thank you, James. So, Rob, faith, how important is your faith to you, especially you and your family, especially during times of not only joyous things happening, but also times of trials and tribulation? How do you rely on your faith to get through those things?
Yeah, that's a great question. And truthfully, it's everything. It really is. Any sort of decisions that we're making, again, whether this is family, life, business, for us, we're a family that believes in prayer. Throughout my entire life, I've personally noticed God's hand kind of working over me and my family. And so from a young age, I really developed a strong testimony to God's power. And so many prayers have been answered in my life. I was determined as I started my own family, had children, this is absolutely something that must be taught and instilled in our kids, and I believe in the next generation. And so it is absolutely part of our DNA at the Garcia household, and very important.
We had a show not too long ago where the topic was no one is exempt from trials or tribulations or just any hardships coming on them. And it's easy to go back to your faith, but how do you, as the head of your family, strengthen your family unit that when you are facing trials and tribulations, that no matter what, no matter how you're feeling, no matter what you see, no matter what is lost, how to hold on to that faith?
Yeah, I appreciate you mentioning that. And you know, maybe I have a little bit different take than some on this, but right, you know, sometimes in the faith community and even people who are trying to find their way with God, you know, oftentimes people ask, you know, if God loves us, why do we have to suffer? Why do people have to experience bad things? And one thing that we teach in our family is that these adversities, these challenges, you know, any curveballs that are thrown at us in life, they're actually for our betterment. They're actually creating and testing our faith. They are making us better. And so a big belief of mine is that we're on this earth, you know, to live out God's plan. But for us to experience that extreme joy and happiness, I think there has to be the other side of it as well. There's got to be opposition in all things. There's got to be, you know, negative things happening, or else, you know, if anyone's ever experienced a huge challenge or obstacle, how do you feel when you conquer it?
Mm-hmm.
You know, that sort of exuberance and joy, I think, you know, is an incredible thing to experience. And so we actually have the mindset that if anyone is going through anything, it's what is God trying to teach me in that moment? It's not a punishment. It's more of a teaching moment and a refining moment. And so that's what we teach our daughters, you know, and that's kind of, you know, what we live by. And I know that can be tough for many to hear, right? Like, oh, you know, but my belief is that God is a loving God. And, you know, just for those who have children, you don't like to see your children, you know, bash their knee, get injured, and get hurt. But at the same time, I think as parents, we understand that they've got to learn and grow up, right? They've got to make their own decisions. They've got to learn how to make decisions, maybe make a mistake, and then from that, and they can do better moving forward. So that's just kind of my thoughts, you know, on challenges and adversity. And there's a great book that I read called Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. And that's kind of a classic, you know, business entrepreneur book, but something in there really impacted me. And it kind of falls along these lines of what I'm referring to, but that is the belief that, you know, any challenge or adversity, there is an equal or greater benefit on the other side, right? So if you've got a gigantic challenge or gigantic adversity, my belief is that beyond it, when you fight through it, there will be an equal blessing or greater blessing or joy when one fights through that.
Oh, most definitely. So, you know, faith also comes with the lessons that you have to figure out what is being taught to strengthen you, strengthen your character. I'll give you an example. Unfortunately, those fires in California, people losing their homes, where they grew up, where their children grew up, and it's hard. It's difficult. I mean, I think it's hard to see the joy or the lesson in it, because we're all human. We're going to cry. We're probably going to get mad, you know, because we're not robotic, you know, things happen. But how do you, Elise, how do you teach or live by, you know what, I'm going to get it all out, but I still going to trust that there is a reason for that?
You know, I reference, the Bible. There's so many stories in the Bible that we read through where certain prophets, went through extreme hardship, almost to a degree where like doesn't make sense. Think of like Job, for example. Think of some of these other prophets, Abraham, Moses, where you're kind of reading it and you're like, man, God, that seems a little tough. Like, what's the point of that? And, I think it's, again, when I read that, it just brings me a surety that no matter in what adversity or challenge, God's there and he's listening and he will provide a way. It may not be according to my timeline and to my, short-term desires that I want. But again, I find comfort in going back to the scriptures and reading about those stories of those prophets overcoming. And so that's something that really helps me a lot.
You speaking of faith, and that's like you said, a lot of times we go through trials and tribulations, and we want to sometimes blaspheme God and say, why are you picking on me or this and that? I believe that sometimes God is teaching us and leading us for the purpose that he put us here for. And regardless of whatever situation that is, Rob always say, try to look for some good in it, because it's some good in it if you look for it. If we don't refocus our mind and just start pitying ourselves, oh, pity me, oh, pity, 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 we might miss our blessing. We might miss the path or the direction that God is leading us to, opposed to the punishment that we might think that we are going through and losing loved ones. And a lot of things just been tough this year for Michelle and I, but there's always some good in that. Can you talk about that a little bit more? We got about 2 minutes before the break.
Sure. I think you bring up a great point, and it's something that I think is really important to discuss. And I think it's, a mindset of, am I living a life of gratitude? Am I living a life of focusing on what I have accomplished, on what I do have? Or am I living maybe more in lack? Am I constantly thinking about what I don't have, what I haven't achieved? And, I believe when you focus on the former, not the latter, and you have an abundant mentality and you're constantly living in the gain, I think you just view things more positively. And I think when you calibrate your mindset, like you were saying, JC, when you calibrate your mindset to look for the good, look for the positive, think about the abundance, then you can always, always find something positive in any situation. And that's been my experience. But it does take some sort of mental calibration to get to that point. And based on our life experiences and maybe how we grew up, I know maybe we grew up in an environment where we were constantly talking about what we didn't have, how hard things are. But that, with my family, we teach living in the gain, living in abundance, and searching for the good.
And that's what it's all about. And it's especially important to instill that into our little ones, because they are always watching us. Mm-hmm. Even when we think that they're not, they are always observing. And that you two daughters.
For sure.
So I tell you what, we're going to take a station break, but we're going to come back. We're going to pick it up. And if you want to be part of this discussion, all you have to do is go to the platform that you're watching us on. Go to the comments. Ask any questions that you might have. I promise you we'll get you an answer. It's your life. And we'll see you shortly after the break.
The James Cooley Show, It's Your Life, can be heard every Sunday at 9 p.m. right here on The Answer San Diego. Life is full of circles, cycles, phases, and stages. It's your choice to ignore or embrace them. Motivational speaker, author, military veteran, and founder of the J.C. Cooley Foundation, James Cooley, and his guest will inspire and equip you to strive for your own greatness and overcome adversities. Listen to The James Cooley Show, It's Your Life, every Sunday at 9 p.m. right here on The Answer San Diego.
The James Cooley Show, It's Your Life, can be heard every Sunday at 6 p.m. right here on 660 AM The Answer in Dallas-Fort Worth. Life is full of circles, cycles, phases, and stages. It's your choice to ignore them or embrace them. Motivational speaker, author, military veteran, and founder of the J.C. Cooley Foundation, James Cooley, and his guests will inspire and equip you to strive for your own greatness and overcome adversities. Listen to The James Cooley Show, It's Your Life, every Sunday at 6 p.m. right here on 660 AM The Answer in Dallas-Fort Worth.
A Black Man's Point of View is the newest Amazon.com #1 release and bestseller book from author Dr. James J.C. Cooley, featuring the perspective from 11 other contributing authors. In A Black Man's Point of View, Dr. James Cooley unpacks his thoughts and personal experiences about the challenges, stereotypes, and feelings of self-worth that many black men face today due to a 400-year ancestry rooted in slavery and colonization. Yet, how so many black men move forward despite this history. Most importantly, A Black Man's Point of View conveys that all men, regardless of race, creed, or color, are capable of love, respect, and dignity. Described as a map to a greater life from the heart of a man who's experienced life's misfortune and harsh conditions, James shows us how beliefs, convictions, and a healthy mentality can help propel a life worth living. A must-read for all. Order your copy of A Black Man's Point of View by author Dr. James J.C. Cooley today from Amazon.com or wherever books are sold.
The James Cooley Show. It's your life. That's right.
Hello, welcome back to the James Cooley Show, It's Your Life, and just really enjoying this discussion with Rob Garcia and talking about family, talking about faith. We're going to get off into that a little bit more because I think it's so important for us to understand that in order for us to grow and achieve the purpose that God has for us, it will require us to fall down. Fall down sometimes, but get right back up. You can't stay down. You fall down, get knocked down, get back up, and redo it again, but not the same way. Sometimes, if we don't learn things from falling down, we jump up and do the same thing over again. Bam! And then you're trying to figure out why you keep getting knocked down. So it's a lot of challenges that we have within ourselves that we have to refocus the mind. And when we are facing adverse challenges, we also have to surround ourselves or have people that we trust that we can go to and ask. And I'm trying to really get an understanding. And Rob, is just like in my case, it's my wife. I'm sure it's yours in your case as well.
Yeah, that's for sure.
So my question to you is, how do you navigate challenges through faith and through adversity when things are not happening the way that you want them to be, and at that particular time you don't see a solution? How do you refocus your mind to find a solution?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think, naturally, I'm a pretty stubborn individual. And so a lot of my experience in life has been kind of doing something over and over and not really thinking if I need to adapt and adjust, but more of, hey, this is the way I think it needs to go. And so it needs to work. And I think a huge component here is just humility. And I think if you can have other parties, whether that be your spouse or colleagues, business partners, very close friends, where maybe they can give you some feedback, maybe they can give you some input, because that was helpful for me. Again, I just kind of grew up being very independent and kind of doing things on my own. And so I realized, yes, I think to a degree, God wants us independent and independent thinkers and figuring things out for ourselves. But I think oftentimes, especially those in business, it's easy just to kind of try to be the man or be the woman, and that's it. And I think you got to step back. If things aren't going your way, I think you just need to take a step back, breathe, and ask yourself, hey, are there some resources that I'm not taking advantage of? Are there some things or some people that I'm not taking advantage of to help me out? And something that I've read recently, if you have a vision or a goal, dreams that you want to achieve and accomplish, I actually read this recently that you may not have everything you need on purpose, right? If God kind of gives you a vision and goal and it's very big, it's intentionally to where you can't do it on your own. And he is actually setting up and preparing other people and resources to be a blessing for you and to bless them so that y'all can collaborate, work together, and have those breakthroughs. And so I think it's just being aware of those resources. It is being humble. It is asking yourself, hey, do I need to adjust here? Or am I going to keep doing the same thing over and over? Which many of us know, right? Doing the same thing over and over, and the result's not changing. That's insanity, right? And I've been on that boat before. I think many of us have, but that's just what's helped me navigate through challenges and find those breakthroughs when I'm stuck.
So Rob, so how do you balance individual spiritual growth with the needs of the family unit, and not just your immediate family? I'm talking about your brothers and sisters, etc.
Yeah.
How do you balance that in order to stay focused on your goals? Because you're a young man and you got a whole lot of living to go. You're going to achieve, I can sense, a lot of things, but we still have to educate our family unit and also make sure that we meet the needs of our spiritual growth so we stay focused and stay in our lane.
Yeah. I think one thing that's helped us as a family is we view our family as a team. And, I might be the head coach, right? But, we operate as a team. And with that said, I want to communicate to the family what we're trying to accomplish. And part of that, a very big tenet of our family is personal growth. And so I've just realized if I don't prioritize and dedicate time for me to grow me, whether that be business, personal, spiritual, if I don't take the time to do that and prioritize it in the day, prioritize it in the calendar, I'm not optimal and I'm not my best for my family, for my business, for the things I'm trying to achieve. And so I personally can't afford to not carve out time to get some personal development in, spiritual development in. And trust me, especially those of you out there who are just living crazy lives, maybe you're working jobs, you're juggling a business, you've got kids, and there's a lot on your plate. And I'm right there with you. And it's so easy to just sort of let those things go by the wayside because you're so focused and so intent on achieving something. But I would really say, think about kind of slowing down to speed up. Take that extra time, whether that's early morning for you, whether that's lunch, whether that's, a sauna session like JC sees me, I'm wanting to squeeze out every drop of time that I can because I am so busy. Mm-hmm. And so those little moments, take a look at the day. When can you squeeze in just a little bit of extra time to pour into you, right? If my glass is empty, I can't feed anyone. I can't offer water to anybody. So I've got to keep that glass full. And I am not saying that is easy to do. It is challenging for sure. But that's kind of my view on that.
Let's talk about health and wellness. And you just mentioned something about, you need to do what you need to do to get yourself, just ready, to be the husband, to be the father, to be the person that you want for your family. One of the things I notice and James noticed when we go out, right? And this is a two-part question. When we go out to dinner or so, we see couples all the time. They're not talking to each other. One is on the phone or the other's on the phone. It's like, or neither one of them is on the phone and they just have no interaction with each other. And that's why I think it's so important to maintain those connections. Texting, email, that can wait. This is your time to connect with your loved ones, family, friends. And I think people have forgotten about that, about connection. That's part one. My question, how important it is to maintain connection with the family. And part two is about health and wellness. Can you kind of go into that, Rob?
Sure. Yeah, that first part, such a great topic to bring up. Over these years, my wife and I, we really put a rule in place in our household. And that is, when we're having dinner together as a family, number one, we actually eat dinner together as a family. That's number one. And I know that might seem kind of small and simple, but yes, we do have a dinner table in our dining room. Mm-hmm. We have chairs at it. We sit at it. It is for, it's not for business. It's not for study. It is for eating and connecting and learning from each other and getting to know each other better and just being there for each other. And so absolutely, that is a huge thing that we do. In addition to that, our rule is no devices or gadgets at the table. And I know this can be really tough when you're waiting on an email, you're waiting on a text, and our devices though can control our lives, I think, to a negative degree. And, I think we really need to think about that and set boundaries. And it's okay to set boundaries. And it has been, world changing for us to sit across the table from my wife and my daughters, listen about their day, help answer questions. And what we've noticed that this does is that it actually, especially with our children, they actually are growing up believing that we have an interest in them, that the phone's not more important. A text isn't more important than something that they want to ask or do. Now, is it going to be a 6-year-old funny comment or question? Probably, right? But us being fully with them is huge. And I think over time, that's going to create a lot of trust. And again, I think JC said this earlier, they watch everything you do, every single thing you do, right? So if I'm constantly on my device in front of them, constantly distracted, then they're just going to end up believing Daddy doesn't care. I'm not important, and I don't want that. Going back to my childhood, growing up, like I wanted to be the dad that's there and present. And this takes effort, takes a lot of effort, because there's so much going on.
And I know we're getting ready to go to break, but that is so important. I know growing up, we always had dinner as a family. Of course, there was no gadgets back then, but we had the TV off. We had conversation. And I do believe that cell phones is really taking over people's lives. Why go out to dinner if you're on your phone? You could have done that staying home.
Exactly. Yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense if you think about it.
It doesn't.
Yeah, we're programmed to look at the screen. So
this is so valuable, and I hope our listeners out there are picking this up, because that's one of the things what you just said, that Michelle, try to keep us focused on eating at the table, eating together, no phones, especially when we out to dinner or anything like that. But I tell you what, we're gonna take a station break. We're gonna come back, and we got a lot more Rob Garcia coming your way. So I tell you, if you want to be part of the conversation, whichever platform that you're watching us on, all you have to do, just go to the comments, ask any question that you might have. I promise you, we'll get you an answer. It's your life, and we'll see you shortly after the break.
Your life. Dr. James J.C. Cooley.
Noah Dingley here, producer of The James Cooley Show, It's Your Life. And the new audio version of James' book, Country Boy, City Boy, A Journey That Ain't Over Yet, is a must-have. James shares his true life story of struggle and success in America. It's both a cautionary tale and a roadmap to achieving the American dream. Get the new audio version of Country Boy, City Boy, A Journey That Ain't Over Yet by James Cooley on Amazon.com or wherever audiobooks are sold.
Dr. James J.C. Cooley from the United States of America, and I am here to just say, first of all, I'm so happy and honored to be honored to be in the Coffee Book 2023, Unified Brain Z and the other organizations. Thank you so much for giving me an opportunity to be a part of this collection. Hello, welcome back to the James Cooley Show, It's Your Life. And if you just not tuning in, we got Rob Garcia, absolutely fantastic guest, sharing a lot of things as it relates to living your best life. And living your best life requires you to put some effort and making sure that you're able to live your best life. And a couple of things that Rob had mentioned is we have to surround ourselves or be around people that we can learn something from. If you are the smartest person in the room every time you walk in it, yeah, you're not gonna learn anything. Also, sometimes we have to sit back and meditate. Sometimes we have to sit back and take it all in, because we are going to be in situations of challenges, and probably not all positive situations. But like I mentioned to Rob earlier, we always look for some good in everything. There is some good. Rob, I always talk about this thing called about your attitude. Your attitude. And you already know what the saying is. Your attitude is 90% of the things that happen in your life you really don't have a whole lot of control over. 10% you do, because it's all about how you react in a situation or circumstances. I mean, many times, I'm gonna ask you this question because I think it's important. What word? What? It's a couple words that got the same alphabets that mean the opposite of each other. What word do you think that might be?
That's a good one.
And the reason I said this is because it gives us a point in our mindset where we can either do this or do that. But it's one word in the dictionary that got the same alphabets, mean the opposite of each other.
That's a good one. I'm not sure off the top of my head. I may know.
Well, that word is react and create. React and create. Create means when we're in a negative situation, circumstance, whatever might not be going our way, we had that split second to try to come up with a solution before we open up our mouth and just mess everything up.
Mm-hmm.
So create gives us an opportunity. React, we just gonna say the first thing to come out of our mouth, cuss them, whatever that is, and the situation is gonna be worse. And so that's what I mean by being able to take that split second and come up with a possible solution opposed to that 1/10 of a second where we react.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times in this, Rob, I believe, and you brought something up, and I'm going into that one with this health, wellness, our mental capacity. All of those things are so important. It's physical fitness, mental capacity, and our spiritual belief. So you mentioned about the gym. Yes, we go to the gym. I try to go every day and get some of that in there, whatever that might be at the gym. Pray every day and sit back and observe every day. Why do you think that's important for families and folks to understand that have to be a balance somewhere?
For sure. Well, I just wanted to also say something about something you just mentioned. You talked about actions and attitude. I know the most stressed that I've ever been is when I constantly think about the uncontrollables, things that are completely out of my control. And, when I start to kind of look at things differently as to what is in my control, lots of stress is alleviated. And I think you bring up just a great point on how to view certain things. We could control our actions and attitude. And I would encourage anyone listening, think about what's out of your hands and what's in your control. And most people just completely freak out, with all the things going on that's not in their control. So I just wanted to touch on that. But regarding health and wellness, JC, we run into each other at the gym every day. And, it wasn't always like this, honestly. When my wife and I got married, we were athletes. We grew up playing sports and being very active. And, when we got married and started having children, we let it go, truthfully. We let it go. And, occasionally we would do stuff and we just made excuses. Hey, we don't have enough time. Hey, gym membership's too expensive, whatever excuse that we could think of. And there came a point in time where, as we realized, hey, we want to start building our own business. And we started to be more involved in the health and wellness community. It really inspired us. And some of our coaches and mentors who we were around, we noticed, man, they're incredibly fit. They look great. They're sharp and they're never getting sick. It's like, that's the type of life we want to live. And so, back in probably 2019 is when we committed and said, hey, we're getting a gym membership and we're going every day. And we're going as many times as we can throughout the week. And it's quite literally changed our life for the better. And there's so many benefits to, blood circulation, blood flow, sweating, picking up heavy stuff, putting them down. The body needs resistance. And when you think about mental resistance, mental fortitude, we were talking about this earlier, going through tough things makes you stronger and better. I think your body is the same way, putting it in harsh conditions. JC, I don't know how much time you spend in the sauna, but it inspires me. But I know what you're doing. You're putting your body under pressure and you're becoming healthier day to day. And so whether it's lifting weights, whether it's in the sauna, whether it's getting in cold water, cold showers, cold plunging, wherever anybody is at, you don't have to run a marathon tomorrow. You don't have to bench press, 225 pounds. But I would just say, get moving.
Get moving is so important, Rob. And I try to dedicate at least 2.5, 3 hours a day at the gym. And every day, and I'm fortunate that I'm able to do that. But I think that's so important to each and every last one of us. So, hey, Rob, we got like less than 2 minutes in the show. What is a parting message that you want our viewers and our listeners to get from this great discussion? 30 seconds or less.
I'd say, please invest in yourself. Please invest in your spiritual life. Please pick up some books that will help you in life with whatever you're trying to pursue. Please pay attention to what you're putting in your body when it comes to food and beverage. Get your body moving. Be active. It doesn't matter what it is. Get some steps in and start there. And I promise, as you do these things, you will live your best life and you will thrive.
Man, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to come on the show. I would love to have you back again if your schedule permit. This was an absolutely fantastic interview. I'd like to thank Dr. Michelle Cooley for putting together another absolutely fantastic show. Most importantly, I'd like to thank our viewers and our listeners for tuning into the James Cooley Show. It's Your Life, Monday through Friday at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And also every Sunday at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time on K-Sky AM 660 The Answer. And also on San Diego AM 1170 FM 96.1 at 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Always, always, always dream big, think big, and be big at everything you do. We'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place. It's Your Life. And we'll see you there.